Sport in Wales podcast.
Supported by DragonBet.
Your go-to for Welsh sports news and views.
Welcome back to another episode of Sport in Wales, sponsored by DragonBet. Today is myself and the legend that is the TalkSport main man, Andrew McKenna. Mate, how are you?
Very good. Looking forward to a very busy weekend of rugby coming up.
Oh, what a day. This is, for me, one of the favourite weeks of the year. Everyone goes, what, Super Saturday? No, Cheltenham Festival. No, obviously everyone knows I'm massively into horse racing, but it tops off, isn't it? You don't get a bigger weekend, do you, on a Super Saturday than Wales v England in the Principality. And you could say there is something on the line, isn't there, for, I guess, England and Wales in terms of not becoming a wooden spoon again, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. There's something on every one of these games, which if you're the Six Nations organisers, is an absolute dream. Because let's be honest, you can quite often get one of these three games completely pointless, doesn't matter, and it feels a bit like a testimonial. We've not got that this weekend. Something is on every single game, and that's brilliant. By the way, talking about the Cheltenham and the rugby combining, I remember coming down to Cardiff for a Six Nations game on the Friday night. I know a lot of people in Wales didn't like them. I absolutely love them. That's another story. But I remember turning up and waiting at the media entrance to get into the stadium. And Charlie Sale, who was a journalist with the Mail, was one of their columnists. He'd spent the week at Cheltenham and went straight to Cardiff for the game. So he was literally standing outside the door with his suitcase, which was one of the most bizarre sights I've ever seen. But
wow.
Yeah, he was clearly settling in for a long weekend.
Yeah, that is a long week/weekend, isn't it, really? I remember Cheltenham back in the day, we used to, we'd always go on the Wednesday, day off. I remember the last game before, I think we had Italy, and we went with like Warren, Rob Howley, Thumper, Sean Edwards, and then the players. It was me, Jamie Roberts, Shaw, Jonathan Davis, and Rhys Priestland. We actually got lucky enough. Warren had a couple of mates, and we got a helicopter to the to Cheltenham. Unbelievable. Never ever been in one. I was absolutely bricking it the whole time, but got there, and then on the way home, Warren was like, "Oh, there's only one chopper." So the coaches were all going on the bus on the way home, and then there was obviously only two spots on the chopper, but there was four players, so we had to do an RPS. Rock, paper, scissors of who were the two to get the chopper, and me and Rhys Priestland lost, and Jamie and Jonathan Davis got the helicopter home, and we were sat in a 6-hour bus trip on the way back
Brilliant.
to the Vale.
Do you remember the Lions tour 2013 to Australia? That flight from Hong Kong to Perth. And let's say there was 51 members of the touring party, and there was only 50 seats in business class. So it was they had to go through. It's like, okay, which of the one player who's not going to get business class and therefore gets stuck on 4 seats in economy? I can't remember who it was now, but they sort of worked out.
It wasn't me anyway. So.
Well, exactly. That was the thing that everyone went through. Was like, make sure it's not me. Make sure it's not me.
I think it might have been Stuart Hogg because he was the youngest. I have a feeling they might have probably put him at the back.
Well, look, he copped for a lot of things that tour, didn't he? So it could well have been.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, this is probably, like we said, it's the last dance, isn't it, really, as you say, before the Lions selection is in May, which is pretty cool. They've already said it's going to be in the O2. That's going to be some day, that will, won't it? I think you'll be there, will you? I would have thought.
I would imagine so. Do you remember 4 years ago when, of course, it was all COVID related and whatever? They did it via hologram, and Alan Wynne-Jones appeared via hologram when they did it that way. So it's great to be able to do it. It's a bit of I was reading one of the newspapers this week that apparently some of the tickets are going to go out in a ballot, and the rest might be put on sale potentially for about £40 a go, which makes you just realise how much money and how expensive a Lions tour is to actually organise, to get that many people and that many backroom staff and whatever down there. So, you make your money however you can. But yeah, it's going to be a brilliant occasion. And the thing that I still love is that the players don't know. The only one who will know is the captain, because he's going to be there. You listen back to the stories of Sam from 2013 when he got smuggled into the hotel overnight and he had to hide in the back so nobody saw him. I love all of that. I love the fact that players don't know and they listen. Ben Kay tells a brilliant story that he actually missed his name being read out in 2005, so thought he'd actually missed out, and it wasn't until they did the recap afterwards he went, "Oh, I'm in."
Really?
Yeah.
What, on the telly? You only literally know watching. I remember Sky Sports. Literally, we were in training. they were like, boys, we got to go back up to training, like, up to the team room because we were halfway through training. Otherwise, we were going to miss it. And they had it on the big screen, and obviously, I think I must have been like second or third name out with the C, Cuthbert. So yeah, and then you go back to training, but I was so. It was impossible to go back to training, really, because I was so buzzed up. I wanted to
I'm
tell
not
everyone
surprised. I mean,
about it,
Brian O'Driscoll tells a great story that he was watching on the TV and he'd forgotten that he'd actually put it on pause an hour or so before while he was doing something. All of a sudden, his phone starts pinging away going, congratulations.
Oh,
they hadn't started naming the team on his version, so he'd forgotten he was actually about 3 or 4 minutes behind everyone else.
Oh, that's gutting. I'll give you that. But, right, main event, what was England v Wales, or Wales v England. I was just going to ask you, what's one of your favourite memories from this fixture? Obviously, Andrew, you would have covered this for quite a few years, I guess. Obviously, I've played in a few, but what would be your favourite one?
I've already mentioned those, without going to a specific game. I loved those Friday nights in Cardiff. Just the atmosphere of the place with the roof on. It was properly deafening. So I love all of that. There are obviously some standout moments. Gavin Henson's tackle on Matt Tate is still rolled out every year after all of this time. Matt hates that video clip so much he's actually moved to Dubai so he can avoid seeing it. Of the other ones, obviously, then there's Sam's tackle on Manu Tuolangi, which just gets better all the time. I mean, if he was watching it back now and doing the commentary, he'd probably go, not sure head's in the right place, but it didn't matter at that point, did it? He just
saved
had to
my
make
ass,
the tackle.
Mate. I was exactly. If he didn't make that, I would have had to jam in. He would have just passed. They would have scored on the corner. So,
and I love the fact that on some of these video clips or whatever, it's always talked about in your try. Let's be honest, Justin Tipperick did all the work for your try in that classic.
Did he? No.
You literally
finished,
caught
mate.
the ball and fell over the line.
It was still remembered as I scored, though, mate. No,
but exactly, I was watching it earlier. It's Alex Cuthbert try. I was like, yeah, okay.
Justin, I owe him every time. I say thank you to him every time I see him, I'll be honest. But,
let's be honest, he was 10 years ahead, because you look at what everyone else is now doing, playing forwards in the back line. Tips was doing that how long ago? I mean, he properly set a trend there, and then everyone else has tried to copy. A bit like Adam Gilchrist in cricket. Everyone wanted a wicket-keeper who could come in at number 7 and smash it to all parts. But they don't grow on trees.
No.
Justin Tipperick doesn't grow on trees, as people are finding. You can try and put a forward in a back line, but, sliding scale in terms of success.
Yeah, you do have to find another Justin Tipperick. For me, probably one of Wales's greatest ever players. I think him and Toby Faletau and people like that, don't find too many of them, do you?
Absolutely not. And that's what makes him so completely special. The fact that he's done it for so long as well. I almost wish he was playing this weekend, because England are going with 95 open side flankers. Wales, we don't know the team yet as we're speaking, but obviously Jack's probably going to be in there. Possibly Tommy Ref as well. So if you had Justin Tipperick, you could have, 5 open sides going at it, hammer and tongs all afternoon. Fans of back row rugby would be completely beside themselves.
Yeah. What do you think of it? Obviously, England are going for a championship, because obviously Ireland game is first. You probably expect them to get the win, so they'll probably get their job done. And obviously, then England, if depending on how they go, it'll be all up to the last game of France. And how have you found England's championship? Bit of an odd one, isn't it? Really, they were calling for his head at the start, and then suddenly they're winning, and they're still complaining. So. What do you think about that, their championship?
They're frustrating to watch. That first 50 minutes against Italy last week was as enjoyable watching England as I've seen in ages, because they played some rugby. And I'm probably not the best person to judge them, because, as my wife will tell you, I watch an unhealthy amount of rugby. Therefore, when I'm watching, I want something that excites me. I want something that gets me off my seat, because it's got to stand out. And I enjoyed watching England do that last week. Those little offloads. Jamie George with that ball out the back for the score in the corner. I loved that. That was an England we've not seen before. Now, the team that they've picked this weekend seems to indicate we're going back kick chase, because it's Elliot Daly and Tom Roebuck on the wings. Yeah. So it looks like, I'm just like, oh, come on, lads. You had such a great feeling about the place. Steve Borthwick, when he was appointed, spoke about wanting to get Twickenham absolutely rocking and excited. They did it for the first time in ages last week. They won the game, and now they appear to be backing away from that for this weekend in terms of the tactics. Now, it might be the right way to play against Wales. I guess we'll find out over the course of the 80 minutes. But I'm not sure it's going to have people getting up off of their seats. So I hope they play a bit more than I fear they're going to.
Yeah. Do you think they've put the right... Do you think Freeman should be on the wing and Elliot Daly 13? Or I guess they're going to probably kick a lot more of 10 if they're putting Freeman 13, I think.
Yeah, that's the indication. There's been a lot of talk about Tommy Freeman as a 13.
It's a big call, that, isn't it?
It's a very big call. And I do feel sorry for international coaches in the fact that there's no friendlies. Now that the autumn games are competitive and they're wanting to tie them in to the summer matches in the end to almost like have another mini tournament, there are no friendlies. So how does Steve Borthwick experiment and have a look at Tommy Freeman in the 13 channel other than a glorified training session? Northampton have used him there a bit, which is possibly why, it's him and Fraser Dingwall pairing up and whatever. I don't know. To be honest, I thought they would keep Elliot Daly at 15 because I thought Elliot played well. For me, Elliot is always better in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah.
And I thought Henry Slade comes back in at 13. I would like to have seen Henry Slade with Dingwall in that structure, with that style of play. But, like you say, the indication seems to be it's going to be far more kick-based. My one concern with all of that, though, is Ollie Lawrence went bust after, 8 minutes last week? Complete freak injury. They can happen at any point. Let's replicate that this week. Who moves where? Well, you can put Elliot Daly back into midfield. That's not a problem. But who are you putting on the wing? Because you've only got Jack Van Portfleet and George Ford on the bench.
Yeah.
So to me, then, Alex Mitchell would have to go to the wing and Jack Van Portfleet would go to scrum half. Or Ben Earl was officially covering centre last week from the back row. Now, I don't mind that for 10, 15 minutes at the end of the game. But if it happens 8 minutes into the match, are you really going to play Ben Earl at centre for 70 minutes of a test match? The other option is that you kind of jig it around. Maybe George Ford comes on and Finn Smith slides out one, so he goes to 12. But I had a look this morning. I've never, in the 5 years that Finn Smith's been a pro, I cannot find a game that he started at 12. He might have moved into 12, but he's certainly not started there. So again, these are all bits of experimentation. But to go back to the point I've just made, you have to experiment in games like this. People go, it's a Six Nations decider. Well, when else is he supposed to try this stuff out? Because there are no friendlies.
I know that, but you're playing Wales away.
I know.
With a Welsh team that have been looking forward to this game for the last 3 games, really, in terms of, especially after Ireland. And we know how hard it is to play in that Principality Stadium. There'll be a lot of players in this English side that haven't probably been involved in atmospheres like that, do you reckon? So I think it's a massive call, that 7-2. Like you said, if they get one injury early on and the wrong position, they are, they're there to be shot at then, aren't they?
Absolutely. This is why I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of 6-2. 7-1 goes even further because it's one injury or an HIA. We know how quickly and easily you can lose players now, and then your entire planning goes out the window. I see France have named their team to play Scotland. They've gone 7-1 again. Now, without Antoine Dupont in your lineup, that looks a bit gambly to me because Antoine Dupont's ability to play 9, 10, whatever, covers up a lot of positions there. So, I'm not a fan. I'm not going to call it out like other people have done, saying it's anti this and anti that. I just don't particularly like it because I think it's a gamble, and you end up playing players out of position. We go back to Justin Tipuric. How many times did Justin Tipuric, in training, run the backs moves? Probably not very often. So going back to my point about putting Ben Earl there, if you lose a centre after 10 minutes, you basically cannot run a backs move for the rest of the game because one of your centres doesn't know them. Yeah,
it is tough. I played them. We've had a couple of boys who've jumped in, and you having to move around an awful lot. I think on the French side, they've just got a team full of athletes, so half of them would be any position really. They've just got so much power. France. Just want to catch up on Marcus Smith. Obviously, 15, isn't he again? how much is this hurting him in terms of his line selection going forward?
In a weird way, I've seen a lot of people saying that it does. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it does, because realistically, the Lions are going to take 2 out-and-out 10s. Think back to 13. Stuart Hogg was the third 10, wasn't he? He played, certainly in 2017, he played the game against the Maori starting at 10. So they took 2 out-and-out 10s and a guy who could do a job and be there somewhere else.
That was Warren's mantra. That's he did it in 2013 as well. So
yeah,
I'd say like if you were going to do the same point, Kinghorn is that fullback that can play 10.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you pick 2 10s.
So it's then interesting. I see the Telegraph today have said the Six Nations this year in terms of 10s hasn't really shone. Therefore, Owen Farrell's name comes back into the equation. Well, Owen's only played 10 games this season in a struggling Racing side. Look, there's no doubt you get a test match animal, and one of the best test match animals, absolutely. But I'm not sure there. So for me, Finn goes. Prendergast.
Finn Russell now.
Yeah, Finn Russell goes. Prendergast, I don't think he's ready for a Lions tour. So then you're looking at
Gareth Anscombe.
Potentially. I mean, for me, Marcus goes. Okay. And because he's so similar to Finn Russell. In other words, if one of them was not available, you can actually play basically the same game plan because they are kind of interchangeable. I wouldn't necessarily be adverse to taking Finn Smith as well to give you a point of difference. But that means you're taking 3 basically specialist 10s with Marcus who can do you a turn at 15 if needed. Are you going to take 3 out-and-out 10s? Maybe not.
I'll give you an outside one that I think may have it, is Jack Crowley. Just that stand, like you've got Finn and Marcus who are very similar. Crowley, he's come on and I think he's played really well when he has come on. And his mindset in terms of, it must be tough for him being second choice to Sam Prendergast. He's a real calm head. I quite like him. I just think he might be another alternative in terms of in the week and that, especially when you're playing every Tuesday, Saturday. I think, he could be an outsider anyway as a 10.
Did you see he was linked with Leicester Tigers this week?
Yes.
They're trying to cover for Andre Pollard leaving, although the general tone of it was Chris Foy in the Mail was saying that Tigers are asking the question, but they don't really expect to get him because the feeling is that it's just going to be a nice little piece of leverage to get a central contract out of the IRFU. But it's interesting because obviously Burns gone down to Bristol, so a few of the other Irish 10s are starting to maybe get the feeling that their face isn't the one anymore, so they're starting to look elsewhere.
Yeah.
But Crowley certainly wouldn't be the worst suggestion in the world, would it?
No, and obviously my mate Gareth, depending on how he goes this weekend, I think his record speaks for itself against Australia as well, which I think is a big plus.
Well, also, if you're taking Thomas, which realistically you are as a 9, you've got a ready-made combination there, haven't you?
Exactly, yeah, and I think it'd be the same with obviously probably one of the scrum halves from England, maybe Gibson Park, which I'm not too sure on the 9. It's a bit of the third choice 9. I got the 2 9s. I'm not sure who would be the third in my eyes.
So
but
Gibson Park with Mitchell.
Maybe Thomas Williams, yeah.
And Thomas?
Yes. Yeah, Ben White as well.
Ben White as well. So, I mean, this is the great thing about the Lions.
Yeah,
You're
class,
never short of options, are you?
No, and injuries happen, and it's a long period. It's still a long way to go, isn't there? People thinking
absolutely.
Just because you play well in Six Nations, you've still got, European Cup and the league and so forth. Let's go into Wales. Wales chances, obviously, on the weekend. What have you made of Wales since, obviously, Matt coming in? And you can sort of see an identity already, can't you, within 2 games, albeit a pretty poor 40 minutes last week.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Ireland game was fantastic. It was everything that we were talking about beforehand.
Yeah, it was.
We wanted to see passion. We want to see up tempo. Want to see some play. Saw that. Last week, I think, will be really disappointing. It was just a bit flat, wasn't it? It never really got going. But back in the stadium, roof closed, all the people screaming and shouting for them, and I mean, let's be honest. Is there a better game to end that run than England at home? Deny England any chance of a title and get that W finally in the column. I saw definite signs of life. Now it needs to go a little bit further, but I think every week that Matt's in there, they look good. I mean, we spoke 3 or 4 weeks ago. Could Matt be the long-term option? Well, officially, this Saturday is his last game in the role, so we will see.
Yeah, we will see. On Dragon Bet, odds-wise, Wales are 10-3 to win. England are 1-4, and there's a +8 Wales. So it's close enough, isn't it?
Eight's an interesting scoreline, isn't it? Because bearing in mind that England do need to score quite a lot of points, France's points difference...
They score 80, don't they?
absolutely insane. France's points difference going into the final weekend is +106, and England's is +20. So obviously France would come down with Scotland winning, but it still would mean England would need to score probably about 65 points.
I think won by 65 points, then stay away from Cardiff Centre. But it's obviously a mammoth task, isn't it? But they can only go into what, at the time, they know if they win with a bonus point and whatnot, they have got a chance. Because Scotland, you never know with Scotland. They've beaten France away, haven't they, before?
Absolutely.
And France may bottle it. We never know. But Wales... What are you thinking this weekend? You think England just sneak it, or it seems like you're siding with them a little bit?
I suppose from a tournament point of view, you'd like England to win because that then puts some pressure on that final game. If it doesn't, then France have basically got a complete run in that 8 o'clock kickoff. I think it's interesting. It's only 8 points, so the bookmakers rarely get those kind of things wrong. So they think it will be tight. England by 12. Let's go England by 12.
I've gone.
You're obviously disagreeing.
No. Heart-wise, I think Wales can sneak it, but for me, it would all depend on that first 20, 30 minutes. I thought England were pretty good last week, weren't they, in that area of, against Italy, which they've notoriously been awful at the start, haven't they? So Wales have just got to stick with them, and I think as the game goes on and they can grow into it, that's when England, depending on their bench is probably a little bit stronger than Wales, so they may just sneak it at the end, but I've got Wales to win by 2. I think. Yeah,
I mean, you made a great point about the start, and it goes back to the point we were just talking about, that England team. There's a lot of chopping and changing. So what successful teams, this is just my opinion based on no science whatsoever, but successful teams, generally speaking, don't make that many changes. They might make a little tweak here and there, which is really interesting for me that England, they created some positivity last week, and then they now are going away from it. They're going a slightly different way. And they're quite big, chunky changes that they make in terms of style and whatever.
Definitely.
So just as you're starting to get some momentum last week, it's like, right, okay, we're doing something completely different. I was thinking about this earlier. The great sports teams, and I'm not just talking rugby, but, the Chicago Bulls, whoever, would they change their style for the opposition, or would they go, we're the best, you've got to come and beat us, bring it on, lads? And so I just wonder about this chopping and changing, that if you're England are an okay side at the moment, that they're not a top 2 in the world side, are they good enough to be able to chop and change?
I was going to say that's
kind of my question.
Yeah, because Ireland, when they came to obviously Principality a couple of weeks ago, they made 7 changes to the starting team, and it showed, didn't it? They were a bit clunky. Wales kept them in the game. Obviously, then with a red card as well, it even highlighted it. It was probably because of their bench, wasn't it? Bundyaki coming on and making a few big
Don't start me
moments.
on 20-minute red cards. We haven't got enough time.
No, but England, like I said, are they a good enough side? Are they playing well enough to be able to make this many changes? And putting someone that hasn't played a lot of 13 in a game which these boys are going to be really up for it. Wales, they're sniffing a first win in 16 games, aren't they? So, interesting call by Steve Forthwith, and it'd be interesting to see if it pays off or he could look pretty silly, couldn't he, after? But we will see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I suppose I've always liked. I mean, when Warren started doing it, naming the team early, you have to name it the latest on a Thursday. I always liked, sort of on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Bang! Here's our team. What are you going to do about it, kind of thing. Yep. But actually, with this, it's given now Wales a little bit extra time to sort of go. Okay, we thought they might do this. That we thought they might do that. They are doing this. So now, surely they're going to target Freeman positionally as much as anything. Yes, he's done a bit of 13. Can we pull him out of position? Is he going to maybe slot in automatically there? So I think the chess match really starts now. I think the coaching chess match is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, it's been quiet from both actually, isn't it? In the week, usually this week, Warren or whoever, or Eddie Jones, it used to be back and forth, done it all week.
Oh, Eddie would have the hand grenades going for about a week and a half. I mean, he's absolutely hysterical. I did like what Daffy Jenkins was saying this week about how the fact that they could come and win the title down in Alpe. That's not happening here. I thought, or worse to that effect. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, he's a good talker, Dav. I think he's been a good leader in that squad, considering how young he is. Other games, obviously Ireland v Italy. Ireland, massive loss last week, wasn't it? They got absolutely hammered, didn't they, in the breakdown, and France really turned it on, didn't they? And obviously no probably expectation they probably would go to Italy and win comfortably, but mindset-wise, a little bit changed a little bit, isn't it? They were going for the Grand Slam, and now it's completely changed. So mentally, it's going to be pretty tough, that, isn't it?
Absolutely, got to pick themselves up. You think about last week. Peter Imani, Conor Murray, Cian Healy's last home game in the Six Nations in Dublin, want to go out with a bang, and the air just came out of the balloon just so weakly. It wasn't the way for them to sign off. So they now get one more chance to go out and have an absolute tear up at it. Ireland have got to be better than that. They'll know that. And I expect them to be. I think Italy are so much better than people give them credit for.
Oh, definitely. I agree.
Yeah, because you look at it, they don't do anything that different to what they were doing previously under Kieran Crowley, but Quesada has got them doing things and winning games, which is just fantastic from their point of view. I think they'll be tricky. But I expect Ireland to come through that pretty handily. Yeah,
obviously on DragonBet website, you got Italy 10-1 to win. Ireland are 1-18 and a handicap of +20, which has been a lot. That's a lot lower than it's been in the past. So I'm expecting Italy to score a fair amount of tries. They've scored some worldies so far, haven't they? Minicello, Brex, couple.
Well, they might be the best centre partnership in the tournament, and we're talking about a team who are fifth in the standings.
Yeah, well, you won player of the tournament last year, and they came fifth. So says it all, really, doesn't it? How good he is.
Absolutely. I tell you what, that's not a bad spread. Actually, that would sort of make you take notice, because let's be honest, Ireland that odds on isn't a working man's price, is it?
No, not
so you'd be looking at other things. Therefore, that spread might just raise a few eyebrows.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I think I'm expecting Ireland to win comfortably, and obviously then it's all over to England and France for the championship then. Last one, France v Scotland. Obviously, we saw Scotland, how good they were first 40 minutes last week. That was probably the best performance they've put in, albeit Wales probably gave them 14 points, to be honest. So didn't have to work too hard today. But in certain aspects, I thought Finn Russell was pretty good on the back line. They've got a great back line, haven't they? Hugh Jones
has been brilliant this tournament, hasn't he? Let's be honest. To the extent that he's now almost a nailed-on Lions tourist. He's been that good in an area of the pitch that there are a lot of contenders. Can they go there and win? I don't think they can. But the thing that worries me with Scotland is how they tail off in the second half. So they're going to have, for me, they've got to be up at half-time if they're going to win, and then they're going to be clinging on with their fingernails.
Especially how good France finished last week.
Exactly.
That's the big thing.
So they have got to come out of the gun so quickly, and by 30 minutes, they need to have 3, maybe even 4 tries on the board. Now, that's starting to look a very, very tall order. So, but look, I mean, France are a joy to watch, aren't they? We can say that as kind of neutrals of it. They're a joy to watch. They play great rugby. I expect them to win. You can't sort of say fairer than that.
No, Scotland 15-2 on Dragon Bet to win. France 1-11. I think they expect quite a big score, so I think they're like plus 15 or 16. So France at home, it's a 8 o'clock kickoff as well. Dupont injured, they're all wanting to win it for him, aren't they? So, like you said, they got 7-1.
You could actually hear the air come out of the French nation when Dupont went off last week. But Lukaku was magnificent. For me, I'd have given him player of the match because the first part of the game, France were pretty darn ordinary, and then they actually managed to get themselves together, and Lukaku just ran the show. So now he's got the chance to actually go out and be the main man from the start. Yeah, I think they'll be too good for Scotland, and it'll be their title.
Yeah. So you're going France to win the title, England second, Ireland third.
Realistically, that's what happens.
Yeah.
But the England-Wales game is the one that has the potential to be the kingmaker in all of this, because you expect Ireland to beat Italy. So Wales England is the one that potentially throws everything up in the air.
Just a little last question, Andrew. What do you think? Player of the tournament? You think there's a couple of candidates in there, but would you say Louis Biellier? Is it his name?
Biellier.
He'd be up there, wouldn't he?
He'd certainly be up there. There'd be a couple of Frenchmen definitely in there. Who else of the non-obvious ones? Actually, Blair Kinghorn's been really good for Scotland, as we've just been saying. Hugh Jones would be another.
For Italy,
yeah, and do you know what? I saw someone say this on social media the other day, and do you know what? You could actually argue it. Wales could potentially lose all their games, and you could make a case for Jack Morgan being player of the tournament, because he has been off the charts brilliant.
Yeah.
So do you know, it would look very, very perverse, wouldn't it? But would anyone realistically argue if Jack Morgan was named player of the Six Nations, despite being on a side that lost all of their games?
And we could lose all our games and not be wooden spoon as well. There's an opportunity. I think we'll score 4 tries against England. So I think we're going to have 1 point, and then obviously depending on how Italy goes against Ireland. But
well, theirs is 12 worse. Their points difference is 12 worse. So basically 2 converted tries, and then the concern starts.
We will see. But for me, Jack Morgan, I think he starts for the Lions first test. He'd be my 7.
6 or 7, though, because there's the question. You've got so many amazing 6s and 7s.
Oh, don't ask me that. I know he's going to play.
That's like picking between your children, isn't it?
He's in the 23, all right? I'll pull it now and have a clue about the other ones. But yeah, mate. All right, so we're going France win the championship on the weekend. We got Wales hopefully to upset England and Ireland to win comfortably in Italy. Mate, been a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. Hope we have a great ending to a great tournament so far, and we'll see. Obviously, then it's the big look ahead to the Lions, and hopefully we catch you up before then. But thanks for joining, mate. Cheers.
Absolute pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in to Sport in Wales podcast. Make sure you subscribe and follow us on all socials for all things Sport in Wales.
Sport in Wales podcast.
Supported by Dragon Bet.
Your go-to for Welsh sports news and views.